And the House of Representatives has addressed the public outcry over the planned allocation of vehicles to its members, saying that the vehicles are not personal gifts but operational tools for oversight functions. The House spokesman and chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Akin Rotimi, issued a press release on Sunday explaining the rationale behind the allocation of vehicles to the offices of honorable members. He said that the vehicles are meant to help honorable members perform their duties in the standing committees and reach remote locations in the country where Nigerian citizens live and deserve effective representation. He said that the vehicles are not personal vehicles gifted to honorable members, but utility operational vehicles that will remain the property of the National Assembly until the end of the 10th Assembly in 2027. He said that the procurement and distribution of the vehicles are in line with extant laws and have been the practice in previous assemblies. He also said that the vehicles are not peculiar to the legislature, as unelected officials in the executive arm of the government have also official vehicles attached to their offices. To have this conversation with us this morning is Dr. Dayo Kayode. He's a political technocrat. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. D. Good morning.
What do you call that?
She started it.
I'm lost. Can you please explain?
Good morning. How are you today? It's my pleasure to be with you.
That's the language I understand.
It's my morning, sir. Good morning.
Yeah. All right, Dr. D, let's start off this way. Let's take a journey down this whole conversation about vehicles being utility materials. Nigerians have continued to react to the fact that members of the National Assembly, continue to get these emoluments, if I'm to use that word, to put it all together. Every now and then, just the other time, we saw a video of the members of the National Assembly receiving the good news that they've been just wired 2 million naira each to their accounts for, the summer holiday. And it's not the first time we'll be hearing of stuff like that. And just over the weekend, we also heard that, of course, honorable members will receive SUVs worth about 130 million naira each for being in office. And Nigerians have continued to express their displeasure around this new development. However, we'd like to get your reaction to this.
Yeah, you see, I'm also going to express my dismay, which I think is even bigger than displeasure, in all of these, in quotes now, nonsense that we are seeing from our so-called elected leaders on the basis of one, these are imported vehicles, all right? And to that extent, we're going to get or buy dollars.
Capital flight.
To be able to do this. That means, one, capital flight, and then pressure on our naira, further increasing the exchange rates. Two, don't we have local manufacturers that can supply all these SUVs? Because when you give such a contract to a local manufacturer, that means that your money will remain within your economy. It will improve level of employment. It will also have effect on other economic activities within that vicinity. You remember the way China developed its economy in those days. Look at what happened in Osun recently, whereby, was it just yesterday? Whereby pensioners were dying while doing their verification exercise. And these are people that are not paid. Okay? Now, also look at people, Nigerians, that freely submitted their sovereignty to these people. Look at one, no healthy living in terms of healthy feeding, access to health facilities, access to good education for their children, access to good accommodation, lack of road infrastructure, transportation, and everything. So when I'm saying I got dismayed with this nonsense, then you will understand where I am coming from. Now, when they now go back to their constituencies with these vehicles, what has happened? That is change of status. Remember, that Okada man, or is he a newspaper seller in Kaduna or Kano, that won House of Rep seats. So it will now go to his constituency with
an SUV.
With an SUV.
Level don't change.
Change of status.
Level don't change.
Then he will not be ready to relate with his people again. So that is the kind of a thing we are seeing. And with the problem we are seeing in this country, let me quickly say this. Except we change the direction of things, the words of J.F. Kennedy will come to pass in this country if care is not taken, which says, those who make peaceful change impossible will make violent change definitely inevitable.
All right, so I really appreciate the angle where you came from, and I'm going to take it a little further before I ask you the question, so you're going to give me some time.
I hope you are not out to put me on.
No, it's just for us.
I mean, that's why you're here.
Okay.
Of course, that's why you're here, so we analyze issues.
Okay.
Now, inflation rate is about 26.7%.
Sure.
And of course, like you said, capital flight is one of those areas you looked at. Employment is one of those areas you look at. Helping the economy to boom by virtue of other sectors that would, have that ripple effect if that money were to be sunk into our economy here. We were talking about the issue of students who went on break, who will not be able to get back to school because of the fact that tuition fee has hiked. Before that, we're looking at issue with transportation cost. And I said, with all of these things, federal government felt it was imperative to say, let them give utility cars, 2023, not even 2020, not even 2021, but 2023.
Model.
So
that
SUV.
Yeah.
Just to enhance their mobility and all of that. Now, 130 million naira per car.
Times.
Right? Times 360 members. We're looking at the tune of 46.8 billion naira.
Likely to be borrowed again.
Obviously. Now, the issue where I'm going is this. If they really want to see that vehicle as something that is imperative, my question is, what about transport fare that Nigerians, whether private or civil servant, are going through, especially as we speak now? Because whether or not you like it, some private sectors have not even increased salary for their staff. So they're still battling with the issue of...
Including iBrand?
Well, it's not for us to say it yet, but we know that generally speaking, I know you want to put me on the spot, but generally speaking, some staff are still going through those issues. If the federal government were to be very sincere, if there is a sincerity of purpose and empathy towards the plight of Nigerians, looking at the situation of things, if you decide to gulp that money into transportation of workers, we're looking at maybe a 50-seater bus. Tokumbo, as we know it to be, is going for, without mentioning the brand name, is going for $16,500 to have a 50-seater bus. Now, it will cost you, in terms of the equivalence, if we're not trying to use parallel market or black market, you're not going to be spending 15 million naira per bus for a 50-seater bus. And then it will cost the government about that same amount, if you have to divide it, you're going to be having 3,120 buses that will cover 36 states. Now, per state, if you divide that amount, you're going to be getting 86 buses per state. Now, to run in major cities, like we're in Berger right about now, you go to VI, you go to Yanokbaja, you go to Ikorodu. If you trip,
You go to Alagbole.
fine, all those major cities. Now, if you decide to do that on a regular basis, perhaps maybe on a quarterly basis, with time, you'll be able to take care of one issue that has been bedeviling Nigeria since the goodbye of fuel subsidy. That is, if there is anything called fuel subsidy that has gone by. Now, we're not looking at that. What would you say? That's my question to you. What would you say is responsible for this reckless spending? Remember, the last time we talked about issue of judiciary, they came up with the issue of the judiciary needs something better. Nigerians read meaning into it. That are you not trying to use that to influence their mindsets, especially when it comes to the PEPT judgment? Now it is the legislature. You are not even spending the money here. You're spending the money on foreign brands, which is capital flight and other issues that you're looking at. My question to you now, Doctor, would be, are we not our own enemies? Secondly, what do you think? What do you think these members would do right about now if they are very sincere to the plights of the people that they should be taking care of as a constituency?
I will pick one word from all your postulations: empathy. Empathy. I've always been saying it, and I will continue to say it. For you to elect a leader or a representative, there are three qualities you should look at. Number one, capacity. All right? Number two, character. Okay? And number three, compassion, which explains that empathy. Somebody can be capacious, but not having the character for that office. For example, the former Minister of Education. We all remember what happened during the ASU strike, student strike, and all that. Not that he was not capacious enough to be that, no, but the character was not there. The character to handle his former associates, because he was brought from the classroom to that office. But after getting to that office, he lost the character.